everybody. I'm here to read you a book. I'm going to read you Stuart Little, and it's by E.B. White. And do you know that he wrote another famous book that you probably are all familiar with, Charlotte's Web? And he also wrote another favorite of mine called Trumpet of the Swan. So I'm going to read you chapter 1 today. Come back and look for chapter 2. Stuart Little by E.B. White. And the name of our first chapter is In the Drain. And I'll show you the picture of our first page. In the drain, when Mrs. Frederick C. Little's second son arrived, everybody noticed that he was not much bigger than a mouse. The truth of the matter was, the baby looked very much like a mouse in every way. He was only about 2 inches high, and he had a mouse's sharp nose, a mouse's sharp tail, a mouse's whisker, and the pleasant, shy manner of a mouse. Before he was many days old, he was not only looking like a mouse, but acting like one too, wearing a gray hat and carrying a small cane. Mr. and Mrs. Little named him Stuart, and Mr. Little made him a tiny bed out of 4 clothespins and a box. And I'll show you the picture. Unlike most babies, Stuart could walk as soon as he was born. When he was a week old, he could climb lamps by shimmying up the cord. Mrs. Little saw right away that the infant clothes she had provided were unsuitable, and she set to work and made him a fine little blue worsted suit with patch pockets in which he could keep his handkerchief, his money, and his keys. Every morning before Stuart dressed, Mrs. Little went into the room and weighed him on a small scale, which was really meant for weighing letters. At birth, Stuart could have been sent by first-class mail for 3 cents, but his parents preferred to keep him rather than send him away. And when at the age of a month he had only gained only 1/3 of an ounce, his mother was so worried that she sent for the doctor. The doctor was delighted with Stuart and said that it was very unusual for an American family to have a mouse. He took Stuart's temperature and found that it was 98.6, which is normal for a mouse. He also examined Stuart's chest and heart and looked into his ears solemnly with a flashlight. Not every doctor can look into a mouse's ears without laughing. Everything seemed to be all right, and Mrs. Little was pleased to get such a good report. "Feed him up," the doctor said cheerfully as he left. Here's the doctor examining Stuart Little. The home of the Little family was a pleasant place near a park in New York City. In the mornings, the sun streamed in through the east windows, and all the Littles were up early as a general rule. Stuart was a great help to his parents and to his older brother George because of his small size and because he could do things that a mouse can do and was agreeable about doing them. One day when Mrs. Little was washing out the bathtub after Mr. Little had taken a bath, she lost a ring off her finger and was horrified to discover that it had fallen down the drain. "What had I do?" she cried, trying to keep back the tears. "If I were you," said George, "I should bend a hairpin in the shape of a fishhook and tie it onto a piece of string and try to fish the ring out with it." So Mrs. Little found a piece of string and a hairpin, and for about a half hour she looked for that ring. But it was dark and down the drain, and the hook always seemed to catch on to something before it could get it down to where the ring was. "What?" ordered Mr. Little, coming into the bathroom. "No luck at all," said Mrs. Little. "The ring is so far down I can't fish it up." "Why don't we send Stuart down after it?" suggested Mr. Little. "How about it, Stuart? Would you like to give it a try?" "Yes, I would," Stuart replied, "but I think I'd better get into my old pants. I imagine it's wet down there." So here's a picture of Mr. Little. It looks like he's going to lower him into the drain. It's all of that, said George, who was a trifle annoyed that his hook idea hadn't worked. So Stuart slipped into his old pants and prepared to go down the drain after the ring. He decided to carry the string along with him, leaving one end in charge of his father. When I jerk 3 times on the string, pull me up, he said. And while Mr. Little knelt in the tub, Stuart slid easily down the drain and was lost to view. In a minute or so, there came 3 quick jerks on the string, and Mr. Little carefully hauled it up. There at the end was Stuart with the ring safely around his neck. "Oh, my brave little son," said Mrs. Little proudly, and she kissed Stuart and thanked him. "How was it down there?" asked Mr. Little, who was always curious to know about places he had never been to. "It was all right," said Stuart, but the truth was that the drain had made him very slimy, and it was necessary for him to take a bath and sprinkle himself with a bit of his mother's violet water before he felt himself again. Everybody in the family thought he had been awfully good about the whole thing. And here's a picture of him taking a shower in his mom's perfume. All right. What was your favorite part of that story? You know, you could journal. This would be a great time to journal about the book that I read, Chapter 1 for Stuart Little. So you answer questions. 1 could be, what was your favorite part of Chapter 1? 2, how do you think Stuart felt in the drain? Do you think he was scared? Do you think it was dark? What do you think was in that drain besides the ring? And we know he felt a little bit down there. Let's see. What else? How do you think that his brother felt about Stuart Little being a mouse and being so little? These are all great questions. You could think of one of your own. But I'll be back tomorrow and I'll read Chapter 2. Oh, there's another good idea. You could tell me what you think will happen in Chapter 2. All right, Chapter 2 I'll read tomorrow, which is called Home Problems. Gives you kind of an idea of what you might think that the chapter's about. So, hope you enjoyed the story and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.